Live from LA Comic-Con 2018, it's the Nighttime Show. With us, as always, is our head writer and more sinister than Sinistro himself, Matt Walker. And our very special guest, animation director of the SuperFriends, Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, He-Man, She-Ra, Roger Rabbit, and the Smurfs, Tom Cook. And now, our host, the man who gets constant compliments about his Ben Grimm cosplay, Stephen Kramer Glickman!
Yabba-dabba-doo! Yeah.
I should have said Fred Flintstone cosplay.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Wow, so amazing to have you on the show, and such an honor to be here at LA Comic-Con. This is very exciting. This is the first Comic-Con for the Nighttime Show. So
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
we go to the con. We've been to the con,
Right.
But this is our first time being a
We've been
part
kicked
of.
out of con.
Yeah, we've been kicked out plenty of times out of cons.
We're working on getting kicked out of this one.
Yeah.
Judge Dredd and Judge Death are both watching us. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Tom, have you done a lot of cons? How many? When did you get involved in cons?
Yeah, I guess it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Somebody that owned a comic shop read an article about me that was in a newspaper up in Seattle. And he contacted me and wanted me to just do a signing at his Comic-Con, at his comic shop.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the heck? Nobody's going to show up. And the line was down the street.
Yeah.
And then somebody at that said, hey, I've got a Comic-Con I do over in Spokane. Would you come there? And so it's just kind of everywhere I go, there's somebody that wants me to come. So, I've been to Ecuador. I've been to Dubai. I've been to all over the place now. And it's just been great. I mean, I'm retired. Been retired about 4 years now. And this is kind of what I do now.
So, by being retired, do you you're not working at in animation anymore at all? Like, are you taking?
Well, it would be
a step away
difficult
from it?
because there is no animation in the U.S.
You'd have to move to Korea.
Yeah,
if I
right.
want to live here, or you could live in the Philippines, I guess.
Yeah.
They still do some stuff there. But yeah, back in '82, actually, Hanna-Barbera closed its doors and sent all the work to Korea and Japan.
Yeah, you know what's so weird too? That Hanna-Barbera Studios is now an apartment complex,
Yes.
and all of the the hallways are covered in Hanna-Barbera artwork,
It's
which
just
is
such a
so
shame.
weird.
Yeah. I wish they had done something and made that a historical monument or something. Really treated it well because it was such a cool building.
Well, fucking Hollywood's so weird about stuff like that. There's little pieces of this town, weird stories about weird pieces.
This town that's been painted over by another town.
Yeah, again and again and again
Yeah.
and again. It's so strange.
Yeah.
My favorite version of that is Monkey Island. Do you know the Monkey Island story?
No.
There
I
is-
kind of know it.
Well,
but
I'll tell you very, very quickly, but there was on Cahuenga Boulevard, just north of Barham, there's a park over there, and that used to be Monkey Island.
Oh, yeah.
In the mid to late 1930s. These two brothers decided to build a roadside attraction to attract people from Hollywood to come to the San Fernando Valley. So they decided to get one monkey and put him in a cage on the side of the road. And then instead of doing that, one of the brothers was like, you know what we should just do is get 50 monkeys and put them in a big
Because
setting.
when I
or
see
whatever.
a monkey, I think, let's go to San Fernando Valley.
Right, exactly.
I think all the time.
So last minute they decided instead of doing that they ordered 100 monkeys from Africa, and instead they got 500 monkeys, and they were monkeys, gorillas, chimps, orangutans, gorillas, all sorts of creatures, and they literally fucking killed the shit out of each other. And it was just
it's never
horrible
massacre. It was
only
monkey
open
massacre.
for 2 years,
Yeah,
and
Disney animals
yeah.
don't really get along in real life.
No.
no, they do not.
It was Monkey Lord of the Flies,
It
basically.
really was. It was very bad. Anyways, your first credit on IMDb. Your first credit, and you have to tell me whether or not this is correct.
Probably not.
First credit says your first credit is Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Okay, yes, that's correct.
Is that correct? IMDb.
Yes.
You did it.
you got one right.
You got
actually-
one right after all
Actually,
these
there's
years.
a number of things that I worked on before that, but because I was an assistant animator when I first started,
Yeah.
they didn't give credit in the credits for assistant animators.
Oh, okay.
So although I've worked, like a lot of the stuff I did at the beginning, SuperFriends, Scooby-Doo, I don't have any credit for that.
Oh, wow.
And I've contacted them and said, "Look, I worked on the show. Why am I not allowed?" Well, you have to be in the credits. I said, "Well, there's a whole bunch of people that aren't in the credits that worked on this show."
Yeah, of course.
You can
And-
just submit it, and they'll put you in.
Well, I've submitted it, and they've denied it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So-
crazy.
It's time to call Warner Brothers.
Because I've gone out there a couple times and added to it and there's one at the very top that it's not right. And I told them, I said, I never worked on this show. Can you
What
scroll
show do
up
they
on
think
Yeah,
you
that?
did?
what's that one?
Yeah.
The Cunning Life. Vixen?
Yes, I didn't work on that,
All right.
and yet I'm listed on that.
I will personally reach out to IMDb for you and
We'll see what we
fix
can
it.
do.
I can do a thing. I can fix something. I know at least two people.
I got a guy.
What's the show called? The Cunning Life of
The
what?
Cunning Little Vixen.
Yeah, Cunning Little Vixen. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah,
work on that
didn't
one.
work
That sounds
But
like
you know
something
what?
someone made up.
Yeah, that doesn't
that's not a
sound
real
real.
show.
You worked on Heathcliff, big show, big show. But the one that we have to talk about right up front is fucking He-Man. I mean, He-Man and Master of the Universe, such an enormous show. As I know Mike is a massive fan of that.
Was that popular?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think people liked it.
Well, we were just talking to.
They got to be in the Macy's parade, like one of the years that it came out. Hugely popular.
We were just talking to Brian Volkweiss, who created the show The Toys That Made Us, and we were talking with him about He-Man and the
Yeah.
He-Man toys and how it had a rather tumultuous
Yes.
coming together among the people who created that together. Did you see much of that going on? Was there a lot of friction behind the scenes?
I didn't, and part of it was seeing that show, The Toys That Made Us, cleared up a lot of stuff because we suddenly heard we were doing a show. Gosh, what was
Now,
it?
this was at Filmation with Lou Scheimer.
Filmation Studios, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
And it was had just finished Blackstarr
Okay, which was
Right.
very
with the
He-Man-esque.
Trobbits, and he was actually supposed to be a black guy, and the networks wouldn't allow it.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
So we made him very tan. But we just got done with that, and we were thinking about doing a second season, and NBC or CBS, whoever was in charge of that show, wanted us to lower the budget a little bit, and it was really high in special effects. We did a lot of light stuff,
Yeah.
shimmering and everything, and we didn't want to do that, and we didn't want to lower the budget, and suddenly we heard that there was this new show coming, so don't worry, there's going to be work. Because we had just gone through the whole thing of shipping all the work overseas
Yeah.
at Hanna-Barbera. So we were just like, cut the budget. We'll do Blackstarr again. We need work.
yeah.
And we heard there's this He-Man thing coming. We had no idea what it was. And so we started working on that, and it was like, wow, this looks like it could be really big. They're spending some money on this, and they're
Yeah.
taking their time with it and really getting the production ready instead of just jamming into it. And so I didn't realize that there was not supposed to be a TV show. There was
Wow.
not supposed to be a special. It was
Wow.
in the Toys That Made Us told us that they did this little comic book
Yeah.
to put in with the toys. And somebody that was in marketing said, well, 5-year-olds can't read.
Right.
So what good is a comic book going to do?
yeah.
And so the guy said, we're doing an hour-long animated special.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't going to do an hour. It
No.
was just a lie.
Yeah.
And so when they came to Lou Scheimer and said, we want to do a special, Lou said, why don't we do a whole series?
Right. Yeah.
And instead of being a Saturday morning cartoon, which is 13 episodes per season, they decided to do it syndicated. So we didn't have to mess with ABC, CBS, and NBC,
Sure.
who started putting their nose in everything. And, you can't do that. You can't do that. So we
Sure.
just decided to make a show and sell it in syndication.
Genius.
And that's why it went to every Channel 13, Channel 9, all over
Yeah.
the country. And everybody bought it.
Wow.
And so now it's
Oh my
on
God.
5 days a week. So instead of doing 13 episodes a season, we're doing 65 episodes a season.
Oh my God.
That's more than one a week.
Yeah.
Like year-round work
Yeah.
for
That's
all the animators
insane.
and stuff.
Yeah, and when we were,
How do you turn around that many episodes?
you don't get married, you don't.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of tracing.
No, it was a lot of work, but part of the deal was to compete with the lower budgets that they had for Japan and Korea. Is we had to reuse animation.
Yeah.
Sure.
25% of every show had to be reused animation. So what we did is we brought in actual bodybuilders
Right.
and had them run in all different directions and filmed them, and then we rotoscoped them. So now we have these really beautiful runs in every direction, and we just made them into He-Man or Skeletor or whoever.
Just
so it's
change out
same-
the face colors, whatever.
It's the same run.
Yeah.
But they look really realistic
Now,
and really like
that
Are
was
you
They
able
able
look
to do
cool,
anything?
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do anything digital this time, or is this all still hand painted on cells?
There's
or?
no digital yet.
This is all cell
Digital
stuff.
didn't
Yeah.
really, nothing computer really happened until Bravestar, which was like in about 86, 85, 86.
I just love that on Blackstarr, Alan Oppenheimer and Fred Welker were both
Frank Welker.
Welker, we're both on that show, and then jumped.
Became Megatron and Skeletor somewhere
Yeah,
else.
exactly. Don't you love that? I mean, just that, like everyone that you like. I mean, in this business, you must see the same people again and again and again, but just in different weird
and
ways.
we didn't really mingle much with the voice artists. They came in, they went to a different studio
Sure.
and did their voices. And, we were busy up in the animation room doing our thing. And it's weird because a buddy of mine, Phil Ortiz, who worked on The Simpsons, I heard his name over the intercom system all the time. But he was in the layout department, and I was in animation. So we had never met. And we were at one of the shows in Portland, and he came up and introduced himself to me. And we found out we started the same week at Hanna-Barbera and went to Filmation at the same time, but we never met. And
That is
so now we usually
crazy.
travel around, and he Simpsonizes people. And I said, these look really awesome, but you can't tell they're Simpsons because they're not yellow, so let me color them for you. So we started sitting next to each other, and I color them for him. And
Wow!
so you can get
That's
Simpsonized for, I
amazing.
think it's like $100 total, but you get this really it looks just like
That's
the
nice.
people, but they're
That's
Simpsons.
so
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I
He's
would
right
do
out
anything
here
for
in
that.
G10.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
very
amazing.
cool.
I love
But-
that. You worked on She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Yeah, and that one of the women that runs this show, Regina, huge She-Ra fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was like, "You're my Stan Lee." That's what she said to me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this woman really loves She-Ra." And she said it changed my life. And it's
Yeah.
like that's my story with Spider-Man.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Spider-Man came out in the comic book, I was about 8 years old, and my jaw dropped, and that's what made me want to start drawing.
Yeah.
And so everybody has that something that really influenced them a lot.
That's
So-
cool that it came full circle like that. For
And
you.
so when she found out I was interested in coming to the show, she's, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course
Oh,
you're coming
that's
to the
so
show."
cool.
She said, "You come every year. Don't worry about it."
Wow, that's
And so-
amazing.
and I live in Idaho now, but I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in Chatsworth. I went to Chatsworth High School. And so I love coming back here. I've got some friends here. In fact, last night I had dinner with one of the editors from Filmation
oh, my God.
and another
that's so
buddy of
cool.
mine that we sat in the same room doing He-Man.
Oh, my God. That's
And so
amazing.
I had dinner with him last night. Yeah.
Wow.
So you guys managed to fit in a Blackstarr Easter egg or two in the He-Man episodes.
Well, we did all sorts of stuff. I mean, when it came to, like, especially in Bravestar, for me, there was always crowds because it was a Western.
Yeah.
So there was always townspeople.
Yeah.
And the townspeople always kind of looked like us.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
In fact, the buddy I had dinner with last night, there was a whole scene where the guy was just standing there, just blinking while Bravestar was talking, and it was him.
Really? Oh, that's
It was
so
pretty funny.
awesome.
Were there any Easter eggs like that where you slipped them in that people to this day don't really know about? Like, even on internet forums
Look,
or the things
I'm
that
telling
you
you, there's stuff that I've slipped in that I don't remember. Because I would do, if you were doing something, and because a lot of the backgrounds were painted, but every now and then there was a overlay that was on a cell, and that's when you knew the rocks were going to fall or whatever, because that was going to be animated. Well, I'd put my name in there, and you couldn't tell unless you really stopped it and looked
because it's like
at it.
one frame out of
Yeah.
Well, and there's a He-Man statue in a He-Man episode that's posed similar to like an Emmy, but it's Blackstarr, and you can tell by the sword
I
that he's
remember
holding
seeing
up.
that. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
That is so cool.
But yeah, so we did stuff like that, and every now and then the directors would catch you. Really, guys, don't do that.
right.
Well, no, we won't.
Yeah.
Right. And then
We
you
won't.
just find another way to sneak
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with Lou Scheimer?
Thank God for Lou Scheimer. I was in the animation business
Absolutely.
for 4 years, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
But Lou Scheimer was like, we're not sending work overseas. This is an American art form, damn it, and we're staying here. And that gave me my career,
Yeah.
you know, because I would have had to go back to bus driving.
Yeah, Filmation stuck with it, I think, longer than anybody.
Yeah. In fact, the only reason we had
yeah.
to stop, we were actually working on 2 new shows, one called Bugsburg, and then one was a takeoff on Bravestar with the Prairie People called Bravo. And we had 2 episodes in the can when Filmation got sold, and the company that bought it promised they would keep the studio open and promptly closed it. And ticked Lou off really bad.
Oh,
Because they promised him to keep it open. And so Lou and Dino De Laurentiis, the famous director, put money together and tried to rebuy it, and they wouldn't do it.
Now, you mentioned being a bus driver.
Yeah.
So you were just driving a bus and then you started
RTD.
drawing, or how'd that all work out?
Well, I always drew as a, like I said, Spider-Man was really what got me into starting to draw. And so what happened was I was a bus driver, and one day I came home and it was lunchtime, and I went and got the mail at my apartment, and it was just junk mail. So I usually just throw it right in the trash. For some reason, I threw it on the kitchen table this day. I don't know why. I don't know if the trash can was over full or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat down to eat, and I just saw this little pamphlet there. So I started flipping through the pamphlet just to do something while I'm eating. And I see this comic book class. It was a college extension courses that were going to be taken during the summer that were going to be at Cal State Northridge. And I noticed the teacher, his name was Don Rico. And I knew Don Rico because I was a comic fan, that he drew Captain America and the Daredevil that was like half blue and half red back in the 50s. So I wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
And so I took the class. Plus I wanted to learn more about how comics were made. And the first night we brought on our portfolios, and I had all these superhero stuff in there. And he calls me up after the class. He says, Tom, I work at Hanna-Barbera as a storyboard artist, and we're doing a new show called Challenge of the SuperFriends. And we need people that can draw human figures. We've got a lot of people who draw Fred and Barney and Scooby-Doo, but they can't draw humans worth a darn. I really love your drawings. If I recommend you to Hanna-Barbera, they have a class that teaches basic animation, and they sometimes hire out of that class. Would you be interested?
My God.
And I said, well, I'd rather be a bus driver. Thanks. Very much. No. So I just said, oh my gosh, yes. Because my route, ironically,
Right by
went
there?
past Hanna-Barbera every day, 3 or 4 times.
Well, you
a
just
day.
drive by. You're like, hold on one sec. You guys wait here for a half hour.
I wanted to tour this place because Huckleberry Hound, Yogi
Yeah.
Bear, Quick Draw, McGraw, Johnny Quest.
yeah.
Captain
that
Caveman,
Was, that
all
was
that,
my
yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
And,
Did you kind of have that sort of fantasy like Bart Simpson does when he goes to visit Mad Magazine, that all the characters are going to be in there working? And then you get there and it's just a bunch of guys at desks,
not just a bunch of guys, but a bunch of old guys.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But so anyway, so I said yes, and I took the class, and I was in the class for 3 weeks, and there were about 35 people in the class, and they hired 4 of us, and I was one of the 4 hired, and I became an assistant animator knowing nothing of what I was doing. And they said, don't worry, you draw well, and we're going to sit you with an animator, and you're going to be his assistant, and you'll learn through him how to do this. Well, I didn't quit my bus driver job because I thought, what if I crash and burn?
Yeah.
I've just lost a really good job for this dream that I didn't even have.
Right, yeah.
And so 3 months later, the animator told me, he says, boy, you're picking this up really good. You're doing a really good job. So I finally quit my bus driver job. And then, so I was an assistant for 2 or 3 years. And then actually Blackstarr, I had been showing the directors a lot of work that I was doing on the side just at night and animating things, and showed it to the directors. And they said, well, that's, you're right there. So we're going to start giving you some animation work to do. And that's how I became an animator.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So bus driver to animator in 3 weeks.
That's, oh my God, that's incredible, man.
And I was on a panel with 4 other people that were animators, and they went down the line and told how they got in the business. And it's like, I spent $50,000 at such and such college, and I trained here, and I go, I was a bus driver.
I just happened to be good at it.
And they're like, what? And then I told the story, and it's like, wow. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I am
those
just
are like,
so
outrageous.
blessed to have been able to get into this job. And then I worked with people that it was just a job to them and they kind of hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dudes, this is the job of all jobs.
That's always shocking
Yeah.
when you're working a job that's like your dream job and someone else who's been there is just like, whatever.
And they don't want
Over it.
They want nothing to do with
pass.
Yeah.
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 I know. That's always fascinating.
Get paid to draw cartoons. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hey guys, we're here at LA Comic-Con and we're having such a great time. And one of the cool things that we've been able to do here is give away amazing stickers to everyone that's come through from StickerU.com. StickerU.com allows you to upload your logo or any artwork to the online editor, add text, borders, and order custom die-cut products from stickers to labels to decals, magnets, patches, badges, iron-ons. I mean, it's made for cons,
Now,
man.
these aren't those lazy stickers that you stick them somewhere and they droop off right away.
No, these are gorgeous, beautiful stickers.
Or the color fades real quick.
No. These are incredible stickers. They're top of the line. They're beautiful. And with StickerU.com, you can order any size, any shape, and any quality. Most
Any
sticker guys,
size, any shape?
We're talking. We have a sticker here that is absolutely enormous. Literally, I could stick it to you, and it could be your costume. Most sticker guys out there force you to buy like a minimum number of stickers or pages. But with
I
StickerU,
hate those guys.
Yeah, no. With StickerU.com, there's no minimum. All right, you can do literally just one sticker. There's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Wait a second. If I just want one
you
sticker.
can get one sticker of whatever you want in whichever way you want it. There's no setup costs.
Unbelievable.
Or die charges, like the
There's
other
no die
stickers.
charges?
No, there's no die charges like the other companies. It's really incredible stuff.
Making those other companies sound like jerks.
They are jerks. Sticker use technology automates everything, and the moment you check out, your custom manufacturing process is initiated. How about that?
I love when things are initiated.
Me too.
That's my favorite.
When people think of ordering online, they think of ready-made products that are boxed up, shipped out as soon as the order transaction is completed. But Sticker U is way cooler because everything's at your fingertips, and you could go on your phone. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer. You got to check it out, and it goes right. It's literally to your specifications. So
Literally,
not figuratively, but literally. So if you're around, if you come to our shows, we're gonna have stickers for you because these stickers are amazing. Check them out, guys. They're awesome. And whether you need new stickers for your laptop, skateboard, or as handouts at an event, or you're coming to an awesome con like LA Comic-Con, this is the thing to do. You need to check them out. StickerU.com. That's right. StickerU.com. StickerU.com.
stickerwho.com?
StickerU.com.
Steven, I just got here. LA Comic-Con. The booth looks amazing. First of all, it's so professional. You have these big banners. You have the posters. You have the stickers. Everything is set up. You have those postcards, all the different stuff. How'd you get it to look this good that fast?
I'll tell you what, we really did not have a lot of time to pull this thing together, and it came together so beautifully. And a lot of that really has to do with overnight prints. Overnightprints.com did 4,000 posters for us and 1,000 postcards, and people have been lining up to get these posters.
How
and
quick did they do those?
Just within like days, within like a few days, they were able to turn around. I mean, overnight, they can do them overnight. We knew that we had a little more time, so we sent them all sorts of stuff. But they
the posters we've been giving out, these movie quality, like high quality looking posters.
Yeah,
they did those that fast.
Yeah, they did them overnight.
If you needed a movie quality poster tomorrow, you could have that in your hands.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And the prices on them are completely insane. If you use code NIGHTTIME, NIGHTTIME, posters are like $1.99 each. Postcards are 500 4x6 for $19.85, and site-wide you can save up to 91%. That's a crazy deal. That's
you can bring
crazy.
them whatever you designed.
Yeah.
Get it put on a poster. they'll have it to you within a day or two, or what?
Yeah, because they're overnight. It's overnight prints.
Oh, the whole thing is done overnight.
Done overnight.
Just upload the artwork, and you got posters the next day.
What's really crazy is too. It's like when you're trying to get more fans and new fans and introduce new fans to your project, and this is our passion project. That's what Nighttime Show is. So
but we want it to look as good as possible.
We want it to look as good as possible.
Professional.
So when you have people coming to our booth, go, "What is this? What's going on?" And you go, "Here's these gorgeous posters." Every single person wanted one.
Well, yeah, and I've noticed there's all this competition, all these booths doing all sorts of stuff, lots of babes and whatnot all over the place.
Yeah.
And it still looks amazing.
Yeah, no, this place is the best. But overnightprints.com, you got to go check them out. Overnightprints.com, overnightprints.com. All right, back to the show. We had Jim Cummings on our live show, and I know that he worked on Darkwing Duck, and he worked on a couple of these other shows. But Duckman, I know we got to talking about Duckman on the last big show, and I wanted to mention that because I know that you worked on that show with Jason Alexander.
I directed about 4 or 5 episodes of that.
Oh my God! Did you get to work with Jason?
No, I did it all freelance, and I was living in Seattle, and they just shipped me the work, and I'd ship it back.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I did that for, so many shows. I left in 1990. I was working at a place called Bear Animation Company, and that's where I worked on Roger Rabbit. He was a Disney animator that started his own company.
Yeah.
So when Filmation closed, that was it. We had nowhere to work.
Yeah.
And we happened to go over to Mary Tyler Moore Studios, which used to be Desilu Studios. It was a live-action studio.
Yeah.
And we went there to try to get work just sweeping up or whatever, figuring eventually we'd become grips or assistant cameramen or something because, we were not dumb. We could learn something.
Yeah.
And so we met the guy that used to work at Filmation, and we said, can you find us work here doing anything? And he said, I thought you were working at the studio across the street. And we said, what studio across the street? And this was that Bear Animation. It was Baer, Dale Bear. Unbelievable animator. And so we went over there, and the guy that was hiring, we knew. So the next day, I'm working on Roger Rabbit.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
So I went from thinking I was unemployed for the rest of my life, and next thing you know, I'm working on Roger Rabbit.
One of the biggest projects you ever worked on in your whole career.
And then working on Mickey Mouse and Prince and the Pauper. And that was my Mickey Mouse moment, because anybody that's an animator wants to work on Mickey Mouse. That's being the first thing that was ever really done.
Well, one of the things that I absolutely love, and anyone here at Comic-Con has to have been raised on it, was SuperFriends.
Yeah.
And
well, that was the perfect ticket for me because I was such a superhero fan. And to be able to be told that professional animators couldn't draw SuperFriends as good as I could.
Yeah.
I couldn't animate them. I didn't know how to do that, but I learned.
Why is it that they couldn't draw humans?
It's just when you're an animator, it's really there's a difference between cartoons and live action.
Yeah.
You can't take He-Man and stretch and squash him like you can Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck.
You can make them whatever,
Yeah, they can stretch out. They can do whatever they want. With He-Man, if he stretched his arm out really weird, you can't do it. It
breaks his arm.
It's got to stay human. And so the animation part of it is, it's different. You have to animate realistically rather than really cartoony. Whereas with a cartoon, you could do anything you want to do.
Right, sure.
And with He-Man or Superman or Batman, you can't do that. So you have to know how things move in a realistic way. And I had no clue that I could do that. It was only later on that the way I got that first job on Blackstarr was I had done this Superman thing where Superman flew in like over the camera and hesitated out there and kind of floating, and then an asteroid came in and he wound up and just smacked the crap out of the asteroid.
Yeah.
And then did a little anticipation and then raced right back over the camera.
Whoa.
So I had him going really, really slow, and all of a sudden, right over the top of the camera.
Jeez.
And that's when the director said, "Whoa, that looked really good." And that was okay. You're ready to try. But that's the first time I ever really did anything like that, and I just knew how to do it out of my head.
Yeah.
Do you of the stuff that you've worked on? Do you have any pieces at home? Anything that you've held on to?
I'll tell you, when I first started, anything that I did that I liked that looked really good, I Xeroxed the entire scene.
Oh, wow.
So I've got the very first scene I ever did. I did a scene in SuperFriends where Batman jumps down on top of this missile and unscrews the nose cone, reaches in, pulls all the guts out, and then dives off the missile. Now, I didn't animate it, but I did the assistant work on it, and the animator that did this, it looked so good.
Yeah.
So Batman did a successful version of
Yes.
what Captain America tried to do that got him frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Batman's better, kids.
So I did all the cleanup work and the in-betweens and all that on that. So it looked so nice. I said, I got to Xerox this. So that's what I did. I always Xeroxed anything that I did.
Yeah.
And then I had somebody at one of the cons come up, and it was a He-Man drawing on a cell.
Yeah.
And I go, that's my scene. It's the first time anybody brought one up of my scene. So I was hoping he was going to sell it to me or, I don't know, maybe give it to me. Yeah. But he didn't. And
No.
but I went out and I found 5 drawings from that same sequence and bought them. So
Now,
I have that little sequence.
Were you involved in that very first He-Man test animation
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
That little, it was like called the Lost commercial for a while there.
Well, what we had to do, this was really this was really disturbing for people that had already animated there for a couple of years. But we had to take a test to become an animator on He-Man. So we had to come in on one of the weekdays. We had 8 hours to do this test of him holding his sword kind of off in the distance, and he had to run towards the camera, pull out his sword, and then take a big swing at the camera.
Oh, okay.
Right,
yeah.
of course, yeah.
And they did. Everybody had to do that. And then the directors, rather than naming who did it, they put like a number on it.
Oh, all right.
And then when they looked at him, they would say, "Okay, that's good. That's not good. That's good."
Yeah.
And that way, it wasn't like, "That's my best friend, so I'm going to pick that one."
Right,
So,
sure.
Right.
So I went through that, and of course you're sweating bullets because I've been animating for 2 years with them, and next thing you know, I've got to
take a
prove
test.
myself again to do
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Right, my God.
So, but it worked out good. It looked really nice, and I still have the test. I
Oh,
just
wow.
kept it all. So
Do you have any
That's
projects
very
you've
cool.
worked on that didn't take off that you look back fondly and you're like, this really was good?
yeah,
I don't know, the general public didn't like it.
There is a show that I directed about 3 or 4 episodes of right at the same time that Pinky and the Brain was on.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Warner Brothers, and it was called Road Rovers.
Okay.
And they were dogs from different parts of the country. There was a Russian dog, an Australian dog, there was an American dog, and it was very clever. And it was one of the head writers that worked on He-Man, Tom Ruger, who worked at Warner Brothers at this point. He came up with this idea, and they were transdogrified into part human, part dog.
Uh-huh.
And it was funny because the bad guy that they were chasing throughout the episodes, they finally catch him, and they've got him cornered. And the guy pulls out a tennis ball and throws it, and they can't help it. They run after the tennis
Oh,
ball.
my God.
But the whole thing had they had submarines, and they had like a dog cave, like a bat cave. But when they left the dog cave, there was a doggy door that was closed. And all of the vehicles looked like dogs. It was very clever. And one of the Russian one sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he was like, "I'm perfect." And I directed 3 or 4 episodes of that, and it was really funny. Didn't take off.
Just didn't take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They finally put it, I think it just came out on DVD. I had gotten copies of it they replayed it on a Boomerang or something.
Yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called Road Rovers.
Road Rovers.
But you check it out. I thought it was really, really clever.
That's so cool, man.
And there was a little Australian dog that was a collie that was a female dog, and she was like the love interest of the dogs.
What's your favorite character that you've drawn?
Man, that's a tough one.
Or who's someone that you love to draw, like that you really enjoy? Like,
Well, in He-Man, I always say it was Orko.
really?
Well, because he didn't have legs, so I could just float
Just
him
float
everywhere.
wherever, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Because
sure.
you had to do 80 feet of film a week.
Mm-hmm.
And man, if you had scenes with He-Man or Skeletor, it was
That's
a
a
lot.
nightmare.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
So they would always throw in some easy stuff. Because at the beginning of the show, when they pan into the building that they're going to be in or whatever, you got credit for all that footage, even though there's no animation in it.
Okay.
So they would give you, if you had a really tough scene. I had a scene with Godzilla wrestling with a Aztec warrior that had 6 arms. And it took me the whole week to do this scene.
Yeah.
And it was only like 5 feet. I got 75 more feet I got to do.
Oh my God.
So the director knows. So they give you some of the easy stuff to pad your footage.
Sure.
But if week after week, you're getting like 30 feet and you should be getting 80, you're going to be shown the door.
yeah.
But
That sounds like...
so that's why Orko was always something I said, look, anytime you got Orko scenes, I'd love to do them. Because I drew them a little bit more cartoony. And they finally... He used to have these circles for eyes. And I made them more almond shape. And at first the directors would say, nah, his eyes don't look right. And then they kind of look and they go, this looks better than the other one.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And I said, now you can
More
squash his
expressive
eye.
whatever, yeah.
So they finally changed it so that he had almond eyes all the time.
I love
Now,
that.
if you draw 80 feet of animation, how long does that take up on a screen in terms of time?
Well, 80 feet is 16 frames a foot. 12 frames per second. So you'd have to figure that out.
All right.
You need a calculator.
I'll go to the math.
Matt's a smart guy.
My nose is bleeding just from hearing that.
Our friend John Schnapp, who passed away recently, he worked on Space Ghost as an editor. And when he got hired on to write on the show, Mike, I don't know if you know this story, but
This is Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
yeah, Space
right?
Ghost Coast to Coast. Do you know this story?
So not the old.
No.
Space
Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Okay.
For the record,
Yeah.
I think that was 1.777 repeating minutes.
Thank you,
If I
Matt.
did the math.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's great. When he, thank you,
welcome.
buddy.
You saved the show.
Yay!
Good job.
When he got hired on to edit Space Ghost Coast to Coast, there was an editor already on, and the editor had taken a week and a half to 2 weeks to cut one episode.
Ooh.
And John got brought on, and in the first 4 days, he had cut 6 episodes in 4 days.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we have to fire the other guy, I guess. And so this other, he edited the other guy out of a job. Like he was like, you don't work here anymore. And they just had to move the other guy onto
And
a
that's
different
kind of
show.
what would happen. I mean, it's not like they would get rid of them, but there were a couple of guys that came in, and it's like, you're working too fast.
Yeah.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
You're going to make it so they're going to say, okay, let's make it to 100 feet now.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like John Levinson Big when Tom Hanks is just working his ass off, and he's like, "Slow down, You're ruining it
Making
for
us look
everyone."
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you next when they want to come see you at a con? What do you have coming up? Any cons in particular?
Man, let me think. I wish I had my phone
Do you
with me. I
have
could look.
social? Are you on social
just-
media at all,
Or your
Facebook?
home address, whatever.
Yeah,
just whatever you
people
want.
can
Social
come
security
visit you
number.
at your
phone
house.
number is
Yeah.
no. I'm on Facebook. If you go to Tom Cook Animator, it usually pops up.
Great.
Okay.
And my email address is pretty easy. It's 80sanimator@gmail.com. So it's 80sanimator.
Awesome.
And that's where I get a lot of, people want drawings of their characters that they like or whatever.
Hell
So
yeah! Well, you should hit them
I
up.
do a lot
And,
of that.
I mean, you got to see some of the stuff, especially over at the booth. It's just looks awesome, man. Everything over there looks so
Thank you,
great.
thank you.
It's such an absolute honor to meet you and get to chat with you about
Yeah.
stuff that we're huge, massive fans of. I mean, Mike Black has more He-Man toys in his house than a human being should.
Well, I
probably.
appreciate it because I was just sitting there minding my business, and these guys come walking up to me, and it's like, oh my gosh, they love this stuff.
Hell yeah, man!
I could tell. So
I love it.
They asked me to stop by, and I had to go to the bathroom. I said, okay, now I'm stopping by. And then I get here, and he's not here.
I know.
But
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
We're like, he'll
Mike-
be right back.
Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on all social media at Mike Black Attack.
All right, and what about you, Matt?
Find links to everything at funnymat.com or check out the new website we just put up at thenighttimeshow.com.
Yes, and you can always get me at Stephen Glickman, STPHEN Glickman, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast. If you happen to be in the Los Angeles area or in Southern California, make your way to the Hollywood Improv November 17th to see Michael Dorn, a.k.a. Worf, from Star Trek The Next Generation on the live show, Nighttime Show, or December 15th for the Children's Hospital toy fundraiser that we are doing with Drake Bell and all sorts of other wonderful people. Thank you so much, and seriously, it's an honor, Tom, to have you on the show. And
Thanks so much.
And hopefully, we'll get to see each other again real soon.
I hope so.
All right, thanks
Yeah.
for listening to the show, guys.
Oh!